guys, and welcome back to Project Z Garage. Today we're going to be working on the Audi A4 again, and we are going to be working on getting this front bumper off so that we can readjust the intercooler. Now the first thing you're going to have to do is take the under tray off from under the body. I already have it off as we just did the work on the motor. We literally pulled the whole motor out, refreshened it, put all new gaskets, checked everything, new bearings, the whole 9 yards, and threw it back in. But as we're in the part of testing everything out, we left the under tray off, which you can kind of see the floor, so that we could check for any leaks or anything. But while we are doing all of this, I figured we'll take the front bumper off and readjust the intercooler a little bit, make sure all the piping is correct, there's no leaks or anything, because it is sitting a little low. And if you look under here, it's kind of pushing the bottom of the bumper down, which I don't think it's supposed to do. So I think there's a little bit of play where we can actually angle it a little bit more up, or move it, or just slide it a little further up, and that should give some room so that the bumper could fit a little better. Also, it's really close on the sides here, and I think it is kind of rubbing on the bumper. The intercooler piping is rubbing on the bumper on both sides. So if anything, we might take out a little bit more material right where the bends are in the pipe and give it some room. So first thing off, we need to get the inside of the wheel wells loosened, and we can move it out of the way. There's two 10mm bolts behind here that hold the bumper in place. Also, we have some, I think these are T30, not that, but right here on the front, some T30 bolts that we'll have to remove. And there's some that we need to slacken to make it easier for the bumper to come off. So first things first, let's work on getting the two inner fender wells loosened and kind of pushed out of the way so that we can see inside of here. Let me turn some lights on so you guys can see it a little better. Alright guys, so most of these screws that are holding the inner fender well on are T25. So we have our trusty T25 tool here, Torx tool, and then we're just going to remove all of these out. There's also a plastic grommet or screw in the middle bottom that just a big flat screwdriver can take out. Kind of loosened that already. Just in case, if you want to know what it looks like, that's what it is. T25. It's a Torx head screw. And you got a bunch of them in here. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 5 or 6 you can remove, and then you should be able to fold this out of the way. Here's that plastic screw that you can just use a flat screwdriver to turn out. So we got that out. And let's work on getting the rest of these out. Now you're gonna have to do this on both sides. So I'm just gonna show you on this side so we don't make this video crazy long. So let me get you guys a little closer in here so you can see what we're doing. When you move this tray out, you'll see Let me get some more light. All right, guys, just so you get a better look, when you move this inner fender well out the way, you can see that we have 2 more T25 screws there, and then all the way back there. Let's see if we can get some more light in there. All right, there you go. You see the 2 10mm nuts we have to take off that are part of the bumper that holds it on. So we're gonna have to remove those 2. So you're gonna need a 10mm with a really long extension, and you can take those 2 nuts off, and that'll pretty much loosen it up. Right over here is what it's connected to. Also, once we finish that, we'll go on top. We're gonna probably loosen both sides of the headlights just a little bit. You don't have to take them completely out. And then there's one deep T 30 Torx that we have to loosen a little, that the bumper slides into and hooks. So let me work on taking these 2 nuts off here, the 2 T25s here, and then also the 2 10mm. We'll take those 2 off, and then we'll come back once we're done with that. All right, guys, so we got all the screws off, and we got the 2 bolts off, the 2 nuts off. Here they are. These are the 2 10mm nuts you have to take off all the way in there. I don't know what type they would call this. So it has like a weird bowl shape on it, but I guess that's so you don't put too much stress on the bumper, and just this way it could kind of fit over the actual shaft of the bolt, so it can pull the bumper in. Also, I normally take this off the bottom of the inner wheel well liner, just because it's easier for you to fold this back when it's off. And also on the opposite side, there is a screw here that needs to come out, which I didn't. So it's actually 3 of those T25s that have to come out. This one, I must have lost one somewhere, so oh well. Next, on to the T30 screws on the top. So on the very front, you have one in the center here that needs to come off. Now, I don't know if everyone's gonna have this problem, but the ones that, especially here on the Northeast, because of salt and, you know, all the weather, and also probably because I've taken these off a couple of times, they like to rust up. So I always spray it with some sort of penetrating fluid to make it easier to come out. So that's one on that side. Another one on this side. Just get the one on this side off. Now, like I was stating earlier, you also want to loosen up the headlight to make it easier to fit the bumper and to take it off. So what I like to do is down here in between the bumper and the light, you'll see there is another T30 which I've sprayed. You want to loosen that up a little bit, and I'll usually go around and loosen them a little bit like that. I loosen them on the top, this way this headlight's a little, you know, I don't know if you can see that. So now it's a little flexible. It makes it easier. Now the part that's going to be hard for me to show you is that there's also a T30 in this hole right here. Now if you can get like a small pen light or something in there so you can see where it is, I usually just feel for it. And you want something with a long extension T30 that you can get down in there and kind of just break it loose. You don't have to take it all the way out, you're just going to loosen it. Now I've already done it on both sides. There's one on this side and there's one on this side, right between I guess this front frame and the fender. You'll see there's a hole down there. You got to look and you'll be able to loosen it up. Now these are the ones that really get corroded, and it's also kind of like a plastic, so you don't want to put too much stress on it. So I really recommend spraying it down good with some sort of penetrating fluid, just so it's easier to loosen. And I think we should be able to start pulling the bumper off. So let me show you from this side. On the driver's side, if you give this a good tug, just be careful. If it's not moving, just check everything. But as you can see, it slowly is coming out. As you can see, there's like a plastic clip here, so it clips the two here. And then if you look in there, as I move this out more, you have the other end of the bolt, the actual shaft of the bolt here, that goes into the fender and that you bolt on this side. So I guess it's just to help this pull in more and to kind of make space to go over this little bit of plastic or whatever this is, this polyurethane material. Now it's gonna be a little difficult to do by myself because my brother is not with me, but we're gonna slowly pull on both sides, make sure it's loose. Remember, your fog lights are connected. There's other lights here, your marker lights. So you want to be really gentle when you're taking this bumper off, and there should be enough slack to where you can get it far enough to get your hand in to disconnect the plugs. So just be really gentle when you're doing this. Now let me see if I can set you guys up somewhere, and you can watch as I take this off. Alright guys, so as you can see, I had enough slack to put the bumper on the ground. You might not have that ability because I've removed a lot of parts here that house the stock intercoolers and the kind of the plastics that diverts the air to the intercoolers, so it makes it a little bit easier to come off. But just so you can see, on this side you have the wire loom for your fog lights, for your marker lights, and it's just a push type. So if you just see if I can get this in one hand, I think I got it. Oh, there you go, just popped. Yeah, so you just gotta be gentle. I mean, I know over time these things get brittle because it is plastic. So you can also take a little screwdriver and pry on this a little bit just to loosen it up. Don't put too much pressure because you could break the plastic. And then I just slacken it a little bit, and then you can kind of push down as you pull it apart. And there you go. Now remember, a lot of stuff, you know, road grime, dirt builds up in here and makes it hard for it to push. So sometimes just cleaning it out a little bit, taking a little screwdriver and just moving it around, shaking it a little, just so you break that tension or dirt that builds up in there. It'll be easier than just trying to pry on it because you might break it. So this is the JHM front mount intercooler. This is not the large one that they offer. This is a smaller one because you know, I wasn't going for really giant power goals with this, but you know, just something fun to use on a daily basis. Now if you see, like right now off the bat, you can see it is angling down a little to the driver's side, and we do have a little play that we can move up, so we're going to loosen that up. We might need to adjust this bracket here because it looks like it's stopping it from moving up, and we should be able to raise the intercooler just a little bit more so it fits tighter up against the crash bar here, and should give us a little more room on the bumper itself too. So before we do all that, I might also want to take off these piping, and I want to check them again, clean them up a little bit, and just do some housekeeping, check the pipes, make sure there's no cuts in them, because it's kind of bracing against the bumper there, but that looks okay. It was also bracing against the bumper a little bit here, but it looks like these couplings are good. I don't see any really damage or scratches or cuts in them, so they look good. Also, it's a good time now. I'm gonna spray this down with some like mild detergent and just kind of wash it out just to clean it up, get all the road grime and dirt and dust that gets trapped in here, and make it look a lot better. Guys, so I think I got the intercooler where I want it to be. It's definitely a lot higher than it was before. It's pretty much almost all the way up against the crash bar. I think we're gonna adjust it maybe a little bit lower, but right now it's kind of where I want it to be. After messing with it and figuring out how the mounts went, I think the issue was this. I think this is the air temperature sensor that sits on the front of the bumper. Right here at the bottom, it's a little too long, and then when you push the intercooler up, it's jamming on it. So I think if we take a little bit off the bottom here, it should give us enough play to where we can get the intercooler maybe another inch and a half up, and I think that would be exactly where we need it to be, and it'll look good. Also, it'll help with what I was talking about before, where the bumper was kind of being bent out at the bottom due to the intercooler was sitting lower on one side. So let me get to it. Let me start trimming off the bottom of this, and we can get this put back together. Now remember, this is an aftermarket kit, so stuff isn't going to fit exactly perfect, and different cars, different models, you know, they're going to have especially with anything aftermarket, you might have to do some customization to it to make it fit properly. Now, we ran this for a long time the way it was. It's just I wasn't happy with the way it was fitting, so we decided, well, now we got the bumper off, let's get everything right where it needs to be. All right guys, let me get to it. All right guys, so with some grinding and cutting, let me show you what our final product is. So here we go. So I took off some of the bottom and I took some of the side off just to make a little more clearance when we push this up. Now, you know, if we slide this in, which it goes behind here, should fit pretty good. Voila, perfect. Now intercooler is where it needs to be. Our temp sensor, outside temp sensor, I think that's what that's for, is lined up properly. And now we can just I'm gonna put the bolts in loosely just so we can see how everything fits together, and kind of hold it in place and see where the final resting place of the intercooler is going to be. And what we'll do is we'll slide the bumper on a little bit just so we could see if we need to trim anything more from the bumper, or if now with the new position of where the intercooler is, it will clear everything. All right, let me start bolting this back up. All right guys, so we got the intercooler where we want it to be. It looks really good. It's level now. It's not like tilting to one side or the other, and it's pretty straight. We still need to tighten things up. I kind of have it just snug for now so we could kind of position everything and see how it looks. Now let's put the bumper on and see how it fits with the bumper, and then once all that's good, we can kind of tighten it down, and that's where it's going to stay for now. Alright guys, that looks so much better. It's off the ground. The bumper actually fits on a lot better. If you can see here now, this can screw all the way up. We have a lot more room around the intercooler piping. I'm gonna adjust this band so it's out of the way a little more, and we're probably gonna clean up these cuts because they're a little ragged now that you look at it. And if you look on this side, it looks way better. A lot more room where the coupling for the intercooler piping goes. So I'm really happy with that, and we didn't have to make any adjustments to to the bumper to fit it, which is great. I'm really happy with the way that looks. Alright guys, I think that pretty much wraps up this video. I'm really happy with the way the intercooler came out and how the adjustments we did kind of affects the aesthetics and how the bumper fits. We definitely need to do a lot of cleaning because this is a daily driver car, so we do have a lot of road grime and road, salt from driving it in winter and everything else. So while we have the bumper off, I'm gonna clean up the intercooler piping, maybe do a little bit more tweaking with how they are laid out, or just so they might fit a little bit better. What else are we gonna do? Well, stay tuned in the next couple of videos. We're gonna work on changing out this ratty grill that's been banged into a bunch of times. Also, I'm gonna do something different with the fog lights, so stay tuned for that. Alright guys, if you like the videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share, do all that stuff, and whatever you guys want to do, and we'll catch you in the next video.